Good afternoon, Umar Kemilainen.
Good afternoon.
Thank you so much for talking to Bayloric TV.
Well, thanks for having me. It's an honor.
Okay. First of all, tell us, in the boxing world, who you are, your professional record.
Yeah, well, I'm 5-0 in the pro game. So had 5 fights, 5 wins,
Okay.
2 by stoppage, and before that I had a very successful amateur career, about
Okay.
70 fights, um, over 50 wins. Boxed in the elite level as an amateur, so that's pretty much it.
Where do you hail from?
I'm originally from Finland, but I live in United Kingdom now for the last 2 years.
Okay. So what brought you to the United Kingdom?
Well, that's I've lived here before, so I kind of like before I came here, I was 7 months in Morocco,
Right.
and so I just decided to come over and see how it is.
Okay. You've got quite an interesting story because I was doing a bit of research in you, and you're quite popular. I've seen you on a couple of TV shows. Can you tell me about that?
Yeah, well, I'm very well known in certain countries. Like the first document movie they made about my life was 2006. They started filming, and it came out 2007 in 16 European Union countries plus Turkey. So and it was selected the best short documentary movie of all Europe 2007. Yeah, and that thing, like after that, I received a lot of requests to come on TV shows and stuff like this in Turkey, and also the Finnish Film Foundation, they wanted to do another document movie about me, so they did a bit longer one, another short documentary movie of 56 minutes. That's called Fight of Faith, and that was also rewarded in the international documentary movie. What you call them? Uh, Oscars for
Like
the
awards.
documentary.
Wow.
Yeah, yeah,
So let's get into this a bit more. You're a boxer who's had 5 pro fights, and
yeah.
you're getting lots of documentaries about you. There must be something special about you, Umar.
Well, I'm a good boxer, but um, there's because my religion of Islam, I've never hide it from the media, so that
Right.
that kind of like has been triggering um, interest from the media side in the past, um, and I guess that's one of the things that has been giving like a
So as a Muslim
boost.
fight, as a Muslim boxer, you have lots of people to be inspired by. You have Muhammad Ali. You
Yeah,
have Nazim Hamid, another.
that's right. That's right.
Amir Khan, another. These are guys who are all
Yeah,
Muslims. I mean, surely there's loads more out there as well.
yeah, yeah. The thing about it that but they don't seem to favor the Muslim boxers in professional boxing game these days. Like, like in the time of Prince Nassim Hamid, it was like seen as a positive thing that he was a religious man. But nowadays in the media, it's not seen so as a positive thing.
So
I don't know why, but
how do you tackle? How do you deal with that?
well, it is a struggle, to be honest, like, and I don't think it's just because that I'm Muslim, but here in UK, they got like in British boxing, they have like a lot of discrimination against foreign fighters. Like none of the big promoters here in UK, they have a good fighter of foreign origin. So I don't think it's just the Muslim uh, against Muslims or Islam type of thing. It's just,
Mm.
nationalistic thing. British boxing, it is a bit racistically, if I can use this type of word, like
Yes.
loaded scene, in a sense that if you don't represent Great Britain, they don't want to give you fights, and especially not the right fights, you know. So it is a bit of a struggle, but right now I've been receiving very good offers, you know, from Middle East. They're starting to promote there. Obviously, when I'm very well known there, so it makes sense for me to box there because I have a big fan base and a follow from there. And then also I've been in contact with some of the American managers and promoters, which I'm very interested to look into. You know, I always wanted to box in America. You know, I had a very good training camp 2002 in Florida, and you know I did very well in sparrings back then. I was only an amateur, but like I did very well. Like I sparred guys like James Lumumba. He was IBF ranked #6 that time, and you know I was dominating him in the sparrings with speed. Obviously, you know, sparring is just sparring,
Different to
and
fight.
yeah. But like it gave me a lot of confidence to see that, you know, like a 20-year-old amateur kid, you know, I could beat in sparrings, you know, this type of, you know, elite level pro fighters, you know. So and so ever since, pretty much, you know, even Kasim Uma back then, he was hoping me to stay there and uh, to spar those guys, you know, because
Wow.
obviously they saw that I had a lot of, you know, gift, and you know.
But I mean, you know, I've known you a while now, as you've spoke a lot on Twitter, and I mean, I remember you talking to me and showing me your videos. I'm like, who's this guy? So he's got some good fast hands. I think it was an amateur bout you were showing me.
Yeah.
Can you remind me what the amateur bout was?
Yeah, there's I think on YouTube there's a couple of amateur clips. There's this one guy, I'm stopping him in third round. His name Jarno Roosberg.
Yes.
He's the current head sparring partner for Vladimir Klitschko, and yeah, he's 15-0 in the pro game, and he hasn't fought in a couple of years because he's getting paid far more for just sparring Klitschko than he would receive from fighting. So that's one of the ironies in boxing, you know, like you get paid less for fighting than, you know, sparring the right guys, you know.
Wow.
And yeah, then there's another amateur clip where I stop a guy in the first round. He was a karate European bronze medalist, and
Yes.
he started getting old, so he thought he could do some boxing. He wanted to try boxing, but didn't work out very well for him because he ended up fighting me on the first fight.
And,
So,
and he shouldn't have done that, right?
yeah, I mean, you know, but in amateurs you have to fight anybody, you know, it's a tournament, and you know
Yes.
you have to fight everybody, fights everybody, and that's why, you know, like I personally give a lot more respect to the British amateur boxers than to the professional boxers, because they have a very strong domestic rivalry already here in Great Britain between the amateurs.
Yes.
Plus, they can't duck or dodge nobody, because when they go abroad in the English team, in the British team, you know, they have to fight all the best foreign fighters, and they've been doing pretty good, you know, compared to the pros. You know, like whenever you put an elite level a foreign fighter against a British fighter, like we saw in Nathan Cleverly, you know, like the guy was holding a world title for a while, and immediately they put him up against somebody who was real. You know, he didn't want to be there. You know what I mean? And this is a guy who's been calling out Carl Froch and whoever. You know what I mean? Like for quite a while. You know, and he was holding the world title for, I don't know, 2 years or something. You know, which is ridiculous. You know, when
So,
you see the difference in the level, the world class, and the British world champion. You know what I
yes.
mean?
There's a big difference.
Oh yeah.
So I mean, let's get into. Okay, so you're fighting at cruiserweight.
Yeah, that's right. That's correct. Actually, when I used to box professionally and even in amateurs, you know, I would used to give like I don't know how much is in pounds, but like 6 kilograms, which is, I think it's over 20 pounds, or over 10 pounds, at least over 10 pounds.
Yes.
I would give, you know, weight advantage to my opponents, because I used to fight in my walk around weight, which was closer to the light heavyweight limit than actual to the limit of the cruiserweight. And you could see like guys used to come down from 100 kilos to the cruiserweight and challenge me. But obviously, because I was technically better, fast hands, you know, I could move, I could make things difficult for them. I could make them miss, and I could counter them, you know, and move out of their power. So with like plus they had to respect my punching power. So it would usually, you know, I mean, most of the times I would win. Obviously, as a professional, I won all the 5 fights, and the last years in amateurs as well, I was undefeated for a long time.
But I'm still baffled about this fight you're going to be having now against Bruce Scott.
Yeah.
I'm baffled. He says it's a semi-pro fight.
Yeah, they call it a semi-pro fight because the thing is that it's not licensed, you know. Like I said, you know, here in Britain for a foreign fighter, it's difficult to get right fights from these promoters. So that's why, you know, I really like the box office promotion. Just if although the pay is ridiculous, you know, but still at least they're giving me a chance to fight and fight against a guy who has some recognition in the game, you know, who has some name from the past. So, you know, obviously I'm very delighted for that. You know, I mean, at least somebody's giving me an opportunity because I'm 2 years here now, and you know, like some of these promoters, you know, like they don't even put me to spar when they see me punching on the backs, you know,
Right.
and they see that
Listen,
I'm packing a punch. They don't want me to spar with their guys, you know.
Umar, you know me. You know what I'm like when I do interviews. You know I'm gonna
Yeah.
ask you straight up questions. I'm not gonna mess around with you. When you're
Yeah.
mentioning promoters, who are we talking here?
Well, to be exactly, I don't know all of the names because my very good friend, my brother Danny Williams, was offering me before for a lot of different promoters, you know, like all the biggest ones. So which ones were included, I really don't know. I can't remember, you know, because he sent me text message and all the names were there, you know, and he told all their responses what they were saying in the text message. So, but all the biggest names in British boxing was pretty much there, and they've had looked into to me and what kind of fighter I am, you know, and so forth. But like from the minor promoters, I can say, for instance, you know, I was training for a while with the uh, guy called Mark Bacon, which is really good coach, really good trainer, and there's this he had one boxer, Cruiserweight there, China Clark. He never even put me in the same ring to spar with him, you know, which was a bit funny because the guy was fighting against a southpaw opponent. I'm a southpaw myself, and he was fighting against a southpaw opponent for the English title, which he won against Vadi Camacho. Um, so yeah, I mean, these things, you know, like I trained here in one of the best known where I'm actually training still, you know, uh, TKO gym here in Canning Town, and I was training with the pros there for about 1 month or something like 3-4 weeks, and you know, they didn't find anybody cruiserweight, so they put me to spar with some heavyweights, and you know, like even they didn't have a lot of heavyweights there either. So yeah, the thing is, it's difficult even to get sparring here, to be honest.
Wow, I know that Tyson Fury was saying he was finding it difficult to get sparring.
For Tyson Fury,
Yeah, he was saying he has to go to Belgium to get sparring.
yeah, well, I believe him. I believe him.
Wow, wow. So what are you gonna do now?
Well, like I said, you know, the offers what I've received abroad, I'm really looking into them seriously because, you know, obviously those things they're gonna, you know, get me back on track, and if you know something, you know, good comes from Britain, you know, obviously I'm gonna take because I live here, I train here, you know, this is my home, you know, so. You know, if anything comes in the future, then obviously I'm going to grab hold on to them. But if not, then I'll be fighting abroad. You know.
But so how did the Bruce Scott fight come about?
Well, I don't know all the background information, how you know how it came, but they just offered me. I've never, to be honest, I've never even heard about the guy before. They just says, "Do you want to fight Bruce Scott?" I say, "Well, of course, you know. I mean, just give me the fight, you know."
You just want to fight.
And yeah, and then I start looking to the guy in his record and all that, and saw some of his fights, and you know, like I said, well, you know, like stylistically, this is a perfect match for me.
Okay, what does Bruce Scott bring to the table for you?
Well, he doesn't pretty much bring, I mean, anything else except his head for to be punched. But like, uh, obviously, like some of the people here, they consider him as a name still in boxing. So once I put his lights out, you know, then obviously it's gonna bring some recognitions from, hopefully, from those people, or then they're just gonna say that he was too old or something. But like anyway, at least I got his name in this unlicensed fight, you know. So
Well, there's a lot of talk. He's been doing a lot of talking in an interview I saw recently. A lot of talk about how he's going to smash you up and you ain't going to go 2 rounds and all the rest of it. What's your response to that?
well, that's a delusional. That's a very delusional old man there, to be honest. Like, you know, it's the way I see it. You know, like people, you know, once they reach certain, you know, age in life, you know, like they you know, like old people, they get a bit grouchy and grumpy and stuff like that, you know, like moody. So, you know, it's just better to give them a bit of resting time, you know. And on October the 12th, you know, I'm gonna put him to sleep. So that's 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 you know, that's my response to it, you
Have you
know.
come
I
face
don't
to
know.
face with Mr. Scott yet?
No, I have never have met him.
So when are you going to come face to face with him? Are you going to do any press conference for this or?
I honestly, I got no idea. I have no idea, you know, what's the plans with the box office promotion. But like, whenever they invite me, I'm ready. You know.
So back home and all the places that know you, predominantly the Muslim world, you would say that know you,
Yeah.
right? How are they viewing this fight, you and Bruce Scott?
Honestly, what I've received, like, you know, messages from Twitter and, you know, from Arab countries and other Muslim countries, people
Yes.
been like very happy, you know, to hear that I'm back in action, and been wishing me the best, you know.
So why? You see, so you've only had 5 fights. Is that, are you saying it's because of the promoters here, but abroad, surely you could have got fights?
Yeah, you see, the thing was, what happened, you know, I was doing really well in the professional game. I was head sparring partner for Marco Hook, you know, and I did very
Wow.
well in those sparrings. You know, I sparred Juan Pablo Hernandez, who's the current IBF and the Ring Magazine Cruiserweight champion of the world. I sparred those guys. I sparred Johnny Jensen from Denmark, who was a Cruiserweight European champion. I totally trashed him in sparrings. Although sparring, of course, is just sparring, but like, you know, I got recognition through internet media and people who have seen me, who have witnessed those sparrings, you know, and uh, I was receiving offers for fights, but I was very unfortunate. 2007, I received a food poisoning, a very heavy one, which left me paralyzed for a short period of time.
Wow.
And yeah, and that pretty much ended my career. You know, I was about sick from that sickness about 1 year. Then I suffered the side effects of the medicines about another year. And then once I got healthy and wanted to get back in the boxing, you know, I just felt like people like didn't want me anymore in boxing, you know. So ever since that, you know, I've been training on and off. You know, I've been hoping to sign in with some of the smaller promoters, and nothing has just haven't capitalized on anything.
Hmm.
So obviously, when they offered me this unlicensed fight, I was scrapping to it immediately. You know.
So who's training you at the moment? Who's your trainer?
Yeah, I'm right now. I'm receiving training help from a great amateur star, Tony Zizai, who was in the British national team for many years. uh, he's helping me out at the moment, you know, and I'm
Who's
training with him.
has he trained anybody else that you know? Name fighters?
No, he's an amateur. He has his own amateur club.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, Tony Cesar. Uh, I would love to train with more pros, but like I
Okay.
said, you know, this like I said, you know, it's you're not always welcome to all these places. You
Wow.
know, yeah, obviously, if I find a good professional trainer who trains more pros and then and who lives nearby me, then obviously I'm going to
Have you ever
look
thought
into
about
that.
considering Don Charles, perhaps?
Very much, to be honest, you know, I think Don is amazing trainer, and I was before the David Hay fight of Derek Chisora and David Hay. There was one guy who came to even. I was living back then in Bradford, and one guy who used to be in good contact with Don Charles. He even came to see me in Bradford and was inviting me to come sparring Derek those days. But then I lost the contact with that guy, and he that the same guy was saying to me that Don Charles could maybe train you if you would come down to London, but I didn't have any means those days to come down to London to live here. So, but I don't have any contact with Don Charles, but yeah, definitely, like if I'd get a chance to train with Don, then that would be great.
Great, great, great. Wow. Tell me more about your faith. How did you did you grow up in a Muslim family, or how did you become a Muslim?
No, well, you know, my story to Islam is so long that if I'm gonna start talk about that right now, we're gonna do this interview until still tomorrow. But like,
Okay, then
I-
give me give me
I'll put it in a short way that
great.
I identified myself as a Muslim since a very young age, but I wasn't living very religious life, you know. But I started practice my religion about 2004 when I was released from army, and that's when I started to pray every day, my prayers and fast during the Ramadan. So it's been now about 9 years, over 9 years, almost 10 years. I've been practicing my faith. So that's in short, you know.
How has your faith helped you in the sport and the challenges you had to deal with?
In every ways in life, it's been helpful. Obviously, because you know people don't always accept Muslims, especially when you're a white man. You know they have a lot of suspicions and stuff like that, But like, um, what can I say? I mean, like, if you think about it like boxing wise, because before I started practicing my religion, I had a lot of problems with alcohol,
Wow.
and when I started to pray 5 times a day, I was able to leave all alcohol completely. So that was like, the boxing came very easy after that, obviously, because you wouldn't have any hangovers, what I mean? You wouldn't stay out late in the night time and so forth. So my natural talent kind of like came to it, like how what's the word I should use? Like it blossomed in a way, the boxing just like took on a different level, in a sense that training became easy, fighting became easy because like you were more braver, and yeah, that's like boxing's been, I mean, Islam to me had a very uh, positive impact in boxing as well, and obviously in all of my life.
I want to touch on 2 points. First, you talked about being a Muslim as a white man.
Yeah,
Um, there are some black Muslims that, when met with Asian Muslims, don't mix. There's a
yeah,
problem there, as you
yeah,
know, right? So,
yeah,
what what is it? The perception? Because Islam, to me, the name Islam is just, you know, someone who's a believer, someone who freedom, peace.
that's it.
That is what I understand Islam to be. I don't
Yeah,
understand Islam to be terrorism and fighting
Yeah.
and war and
Yeah.
shouting
Well,
in the streets, protest. I don't see that, you
that's the
know.
that's the that's the whole thing about it, because like the people who claim on to the religion of Islam, the most of the time, they're very ignorant of actually what Islam is. Like if you look at the Asian Muslims,
Mm,
they are all basically all those nations that convert from the Hinduism to the religion of Islam in
mm,
the history, and they still have like so many of those Hindu traditions which they follow, which is like this systematic caste system, racism type of thing, which obviously is completely opposite to what Islam teaches, because Islam teaches equality between the whites and the blacks and the Asians and the Arabs and the non-Arabs, and the brotherhood between the believers. Uh, so these are but that's just, it's not just the Asians, like you see like a lot of black converts these days, you see they kind of like power tripping on Islam, in a way that they feel that when I become a Muslim, I become something that I can look down upon other people, which is also against the fundamentals of,
teachings.
yeah, teachings of Islam, because Islam, you should be kind to all kinds of, creations of God, and you should treat all people with respect, no matter what their faith is. People who used to oppose the Holy Prophet Muhammad, the peace and blessings be upon him, he would used to respond with kindness when people would be abusive toward to him. So now you see the Muslims being first. Unfortunately, you see many times many Muslims being the ones who start problems, whereby this is completely against what Islam in itself teaches.
Is it them standing up for themselves, which is perceived as then being violent, or and being provoked in the background, which we don't see, or is it just the fact that they're just we've got characters in the world in all things, not just in religion, that you've got some bad apples.
Well, honestly, I see most of these things, being most of these problems, they're just culturally related, because if those people were sincere in their faith and they would follow the fundamental teachings of Islam uh, thoroughly, obviously the world would be a much better place, a much more peaceful place. But because they just identify themselves as Muslims and then they do something completely the opposite to the religion of Islam, then obviously you can't expect anything good to come out of it, Uh, that's my perception. That's how I see it, because I've like statistically I've heard like that. um, I've heard some statistics that says that over 80% of the Muslim people in the Muslim countries don't even pray their 5 daily prayers, which already, according to the belief of Islam, puts you out from the fold of Islam. So like those people are only left with the Muslim name, but they're not actually practicing Muslims. They don't follow their religion.
Wow, wow. So if you're a believer, you should do it wholly or not at all.
Yeah, I mean, obviously Islam is a way of life, which you should. I mean, no one's gonna be perfect. No, no, human being is gonna turn into an angel. Everybody's gonna die as a human being, and human being is created with faults. I mean, human being is created to make mistakes. But but I mean, yeah, obviously Islam should be followed thoroughly, and everybody should try to do, at least try to do their best in what they can do, and not take it lightly. That's the way I see it.
Okay, another brother you mentioned earlier, which was Danny Williams. You said
Yeah,
he's a good friend of yours.
yeah.
What's your view on Danny Williams' career? And obviously the fight he had the other night. What's going
Well,
on there?
honestly, I don't, boxer, when you're a fighter and you love boxing, it's difficult for anybody to to get away from boxing, and you know it's addictive thing. The boxing is very addictive thing, you know. uh, and Danny's had an amazing career, you know. He's done so well in the past, and you know it's, I personally don't believe anybody, you know, should say to another fighter that you should retire, you know what I mean. But the thing is that if you're boxing actively on in heavyweight boxing, you have to really take it seriously. You have to really want it, you know what I mean. You can't just do it the halfway, because it's, you know, boxing cannot be a hobby, you know what I mean. Boxing is a brutal sport. You get hit, you know what I mean, you get hurt. So you can't do it the halfway. You have to do it fully, you know. You have to want to win. You have to be there, you know. And if you feel that you can't do it no more, then obviously you should look into yourself and look into another venues in boxing. You could be a trainer and so on. But I'm nobody to say to another fighter that you have to retire, because you know that you never know. You know, fighters are fighters. You know, and a lot of we know from history, like in boxing, that there's a lot of fighters, they've been having like a bad periods of time. You know, they've been having a lot of losses, and then they came up again and done well. You know.
But Danny's getting hurt in it. He's getting. I mean, that guy will seriously
That's
hurt
what I'm
Danny.
saying. That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. You know, the heavyweight boxing, especially when the
Yeah.
guys are loaded with massive power. You know, you can't you can't take it as a hobby. You know, you can't. You know, boxing. You know, at at any weight division, you can't really take it as a hobby, because it's a brutal sport. You know, the guys are. It's a hurting business. We're in a hurting business. You know, it's a noble art, but you know there's the element of danger that comes with it, with the boxing. So you know, it's like, you know, if you do if you plan on doing boxing, you should really do it like, you should really train hard every day, especially on, you know, like if you're active like Danny, like taking fights all the time, then you know you should really train hard and be in a perfect fit when you step inside that ring, you know.
What is your philosophy in boxing as you as a fighter? What do you believe in?
You know, boxing, it's a sweet science, and there are so many ways to win fights, and styles makes fights. So I don't believe in some certain type of school of boxing. You know, I think, you know, as a boxer, you're never gonna become technically complete. There's always something you can learn, you know, and you know, so that's why I don't really have. I'm just a student of the game. I'm naturally gifted in boxing, you know, but the thing is that I see myself as a student of boxing, and I'm learning by day, and hoping to learn more and more, and I have a good natural ability to learn from many different peoples. I just sometimes I learn a lot just by watching other fighters, you know, and nobody actually teaching me what they're doing, but I just see what they're doing and I copy that, you know. And then um, so that's why I don't have any particular philosophy.
Right.
Obviously, obviously, you know, I like certain styles in boxing, and I love fighters that show heart. You know, that's the main thing, because those guys bring the best fights, you know. But like I said, there's so many ways to win fights.
So if I'm a promoter listening to Umar talk now, in a minute, sell yourself to me.
In a minute,
Yes.
that's impossible.
Okay, in a minute and a half then. Just give me a line that would make me contact you, make me want to get to know a bit more about you.
Well, if you're a promoter, I would say to you this: if you anyone you put in front of me, I put their lights out. Simple as that.
That's what you would say to promoter.
That's what I would say. my game is to destroy, and you know anybody you're gonna pitch in front of me is gonna get knocked the f out.
That's what I want to hear. That's the sort of stuff I want to hear, right? So talk about your division. Talk about the cruiserweight division because that's what you're in.
Yeah.
So talk about it. Talk about let's
Well,
say now.
you know, the cruiserweight division worldwide isn't recognized that like well. I don't know why, because there has been a good, like Evander Holyfield used to be a long time reigning undisputed cruiserweight champion of the world for a long period of time before he stepped up to the heavyweight division and became 4 times heavyweight champion. David Haye was a massive cruiserweight champion of the world, but wasn't receiving the recognition he started to receive when he stepped up to the heavyweight division. So I don't know why the cruiserweight division doesn't allure so much attention. Uh, you know, but like as the current state of the cruiserweight division, especially in the British scene of cruiserweights, it's not very. There's not many good guys out there, you know. I don't see any like guys that really, like you can notice from them that wow, this is something special. There's the good light heavyweights in Great Britain, like I mean, like really good ones. Some of like Tony Pellew, I would say he would wipe out all the cruiserweights if he would step up. He would probably beat a lot of the heavyweights as well. Uh, there's always been excellent heavyweights in Britain. Always, throughout the history, Great Britain has been producing really good heavyweight fighters. Um, One of I would say, after Muhammad Ali, the second greatest of all time, Lennox Lewis, in my eyes, as a heavyweight, ha, he's a British product of British boxing. Um, yeah, I mean, but cruiserweight division in between the light heavyweight and the heavyweight just hasn't been able to produce, um, especially here in Britain, anything special.
Let me name a name to you that you probably would remember: Herbie Hyde.
Yeah, that's right. But Herbie Hyde, like if you look at him, he was a heavyweight. He received his recognition as a heavyweight as well.
Yes.
He wasn't like people wasn't celebrating him as a cruiserweight champion. And he was a very small heavyweight. Um, and he got recognition for his fights for
Absolutely.
being very brave against Riddick Bowe and being very brave against Vitaly Klitschko as well.
So you said you sparred with, was it Vladimir?
No, Marco Hook.
Marco
Marco
Hook.
Hook
That
was,
was going to say. Sorry,
yeah,
Marco Hook.
yeah,
What was that like sparring
yeah.
with the captain?
Well, Marco Hook, he's a very strong puncher, and he's a dirty fighter. Uh, yeah, I would, that internationally, generally the boxing scene rates Hernandez as the number one cruiserweight world. But to be honest, he wouldn't stand a chance against Marco Hook. Marco Hook is the number one guy in the cruiserweight worldwide. Without a shadow of doubt. The Polish WBC champion, Christopher Wlodarczuk or something.
Yes.
He's a good he's a very good boxer, but he wouldn't stand a chance against Hook either. So there's pretty much nobody at the moment who I can see that could beat Marco Hook in the cruiserweight division. Actually, even the heavyweights, if you look like how he fought against Alexander Povetkin, yeah, he should have won that fight. He should have. Hook was winning that fight, but they decided to give it to Povetkin, to make that big fight against Klitschko. But yeah, Hook he's really something special. I would say, like our sparring, it would be like 50-50, or let's say 55-45 to hook, when we were sparring, because we were sparring, short sparrings like 4 and 6 rounders, which suits for me very well. I was able to use my speed, but he was using, like, when he couldn't catch me when I was moving out of the way, he was using very dirty tactics like holding and punching to the back of the head and stuff
Yeah,
like
yeah,
that.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, that's what they do when they start the bigger guys, when they get frustrated with the speed.
Here's something for you: the prize fighter.
Yeah,
How
yeah,
about
I'll
entering that?
definitely. Yeah, oh yeah, if I get a chance, definitely I'll enter into it.
Do you know how you'd have to go about getting into the prize fighter?
How can I get into
Do
it?
you know how
I
you'd get
think
into it?
um, I have no idea, to be honest, and you know, first of all, I think you should have a British Boxing Board of Control license to get
Okay.
into that, and I don't think, because it's a national. They just looking for British boxers. They have the international version of it, but that's very rare. And I think the international cruiserweight Prizefighter tournament has been held only once before, far as I know. And the last Prizefighter tournament, the British version of it, was extremely boring. Like I saw some tweets on Twitter, people were saying I'm falling to sleep. Like the fights weren't very entertaining, to be honest. Like they had a lot of guys with undefeated records uh, before the tournament, but there were like 4-0 guys and 6-0 guys who entered into it, and they wasn't able to make exciting fights, and it was quite boring, to be honest.
Yeah. One of the guys I was watching in the cruiserweight division, coming up and coming, was Chris Keane.
Ooh, yeah, but he got knocked out a
He
while
got knocked
ago.
out by Neil Dawson. I was shocked.
Yeah, yeah. But I saw that fight, and to be honest, that the what you call the Chris, what was his
Chris
last name?
Keane.
Yeah, Chris Keane. His style, he's got a like a flashy
David
style
Haysop
type of
style.
thing, but yeah. But if you look at the speed and the explosiveness, he's very slow in my eyes. I see him, so it wasn't surprised that he got caught, and the guy who punched him out has even he has a stiff style, and it's not like technically the most beautiful uh, performer in the game, but
But
like
he's heavy-handed.
yeah, extremely hand. So it wasn't surprised that this Chris guy got caught by this guy, because he has a slow rhythm. You know what I mean? And plus held his hands low. You know what I mean? Like if you're fighting hands low, then obviously you should be very explosive, and have a good eye coordination,
I,
hand
w-
coordination, and
but I
stuff
was
like
shocked. I saw Chris Keane go toe-to-toe with Derek Chisora a week before, or no, a few days before Derek Chisora fought David Hay
that. Right, in sparring
in
sessions.
sparring.
Yeah. Well, sparring is always sparring, and then you gotta understand that I don't think that Derek, probably I don't know how he trains, but I don't think that he goes into sparrings every day. He enters them with fully what he is, that, like, I think he has his off days as well, so you can't really judge according to that, and
But I was
I think.
surprised because he looked like he was really loading up on Chris Keane, and he was able to take the shots and roll and fight nicely on the inside.
Yeah. Well, there's like, I don't know. I mean, there was this guy I was sparring here. He's an amateur. He's got like he was a cruiserweight. Um, he's a cruiserweight, and I sparred with him on Tony Zisai's gym. He's got 10 amateur fights, 10 wins by knockout. And I sparred with him once, and he hasn't shown up in the ever since that to the sparrings. So and I thought I was going easy on him, like, but it went like, I was obviously my first sparring since a long time, like I was outboxing him with speed for the first 2 rounds. Then they took him out and gave some other guy there to be with me for a 1 round. And you know, obviously after 3 rounds I started to feel a little bit like tired because of first sparrings in a long time. And then in the fourth round, when they put him in to spar with me again, you know, he started to outbox me. So I thought to myself that, well, I'm not here to get a beating from an amateur guy. So I started walk him down and rough him up, you know. And you know, that was pretty much it. That we haven't seen the guy in the gym
Since.
that. Yeah.
Question. Your fight's in October, correct?
That's right. Yeah.
So we're in August, right?
Yeah, we got about 7 weeks left.
Right. What's going to happen in terms of promotion for the fight?
Like I said, I honestly don't know. Whenever the box office promotion calls me to these media things, I'm there. You know. But besides that, you know, I don't know if there's anything in anybody else's mind.
Right. So after this fight, where does Umar go? After you beat.
Well, like I said, I've been offered fights abroad, so
Right.
definitely I'm gonna as soon as the negotiation starts, you know, I'm gonna get into those, you know, and
But
hopefully
first,
yeah, hopefully I gotta do this semi-professional thing, you know.
first you're gonna have to handle business with Bruce Scott.
That's right. Put the old man to sleep.
Do you have a message to Bruce Scott?
Well, I don't know. I mean, you know, talking is talking. I do my talking in the ring. You know, that's it. You know, like I just saw one of the interviews where he saw that I'm not on his level. You know, I said that I have to agree with you like 100% on that. Obviously, I'm not on his level when I'm 5 to 6 levels above him. So it's you know what I mean? Like you got, you know, people just talk and talk and talk. You know what I mean? But you know, once we get into that ring, you know, the talking is done. I do the fist, do the talking.
So your Umar is ready.
Obviously, you know, I mean, I was born ready, so this is what I love to do. So you know, it's good. It's good that the box office promotion gave me this chance. At least if it's not licensed, you know, at least it's boxing. You know, it's a real boxing. You know, 2 men go at it. You know.
Good stuff. How do people contact you?
Well, people can follow me on Twitter, and I always reply to anybody who tweets me.
Okay, what's your Twitter?
It's Umar Kemilainen.
Okay.
That's just it. At Umar Kemilainen.
Okay, and do you have a Facebook page?
No, I don't use Facebook.
Keep well away from Facebook then.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for talking to Bayloric TV.
Well, thanks for having me. You know, it's my pleasure. Obviously, you know, Bellaric TV now is just growing and growing and growing. You know, like, and you got all these big stars. So it's like it's an honor, honestly, to be included in this, with these people being interviewed by Bellaric TV.
Umar, you're a massive star. Just because they don't recognize you yet, in the Western world as such, you're a big star. Just your heart and the truth that you speak, it's only a matter of time.
I hope so. Thanks a lot, brother.
You take care, brother. All the best.